What occurs if a courtroom queen exchanges her rambling for a wedding band, and then finds herself embroiled in a trial she never agreed to judge? Faith Jenkins was renowned for her approach to law and love. She was a former Miss Louisiana, a legal analyst, and the wittiest of divorce court Lattimore Kenny. The smooth-voiced R&B singer, known for songs like For You, was known for her clean-cut image and soulful ballads. These two seemed like the ideal match when they announced their relationship in 2019. They were a power couple who embodied Black excellence and shared values. However, every flawless Instagram post has a heavily edited backstory. Kenny Lattimore was well known in R&B and gossip magazines before he was spotted on red carpets with Judge Faith Jen, despite having all the makings of a powerhouse couple. His first marriage to singer Shanti Moore soon began to show signs of weakness. More than just formal documents accompanied their divorce. The rare Moore's emotional detachment, custody disputes over their son, and an odd tension that pervaded the entire space. However, it was Shanti's handling of inquiries about Kenny's private life that truly got fans talking. She never confirmed anything particular regarding his sexual orientation, but she also didn't deny it. Years of whispers that followed Kenny into every new relationship were even triggered by her passive responses. It was more than just rumors, it was a persistent shadow. In addition, Kenny's public persona began to change after the divorce. People took note of his lack of response, his propensity to keep things vague, and his avoidance of confronting them. Rumor sheet on all of this suggested that Thiemann was carrying more emotional baggage than he was disclosing. The baggage was loud enough to speak for him by the time he returned to the dating scene with his reputation in shambles, and fans speculating that Kenny needed a makeover. Judge Faith Jenkins steps in. She was planning for love. He wasn't merely searching for it. She chose to take charge because she was over 40, working TV, and was well aware of the restrictions society places on women. She jotted down a list of 50 qualities, not 5 or 10. Rather than leaving it up to chance, she had everything laid out, including ambition, integrity, and spirituality. On paper, Kenny was the best. That scored 49 out of 50 points. He only overlooked height, but it didn't seem like a big deal. At that point, a gospel producer they both trusted introduced the two, and their relationship took off right away. It wasn't a slow burn, rather was an efficient checklist romance, pragmatic and structured. But the problem with partnerships that are based on strategy rather than chemistry is that they can seem perfect on the surface, but feel a little strange. Love doesn't function like a courtroom, and although Faith has always been about control, on Dorder you can check all the boxes and still miss the vibe. It doesn't adhere to schedules or regulations. When pressure from real life set in what had seemed like a perfect match on paper didn't always translate. In addition to getting married, Kenny and Faith started a business. Everything up there romance was prepared, showcased, and packaged for the general public's consumption as soon as they went public as part of their open declaration of their dedication to discipline and faith. They made the decision early on as a couple to abstain until marriage. They pushed a message of contemporary love based on spiritual discipline by aligning their relationship values with those made famous by Devin Franklin and Megan Good. Additionally, they established a group of trusted couples and mentors they dubbed it Relationship Board of Directors to help them navigate the highs and lows of marriage. It was all very planned and deliberate, but it also had a corporate vibe, as if their romance was being managed like a marketing campaign. The title alone felt like a warning shot when Judge Faith Jenkins released her book on relationship advice. Sis, don't settle. The catch is that she only released it a year into her marriage. These books are typically written by people who have finally found peace or who have persevered through years of hardship. Even though Faith was still in her honeymoon phase, she was already putting together tips for other women on how to choose the right man and steer clear of emotional pitfalls. People's eyebrows went up. Was she expressing hope or writing from experienced Devin Franklin and Megan Good, the couple who served as a model for Kenny and Faith's abstinent love, then abruptly announced their divorce? The story took a serious hit as a result. What did it mean for those who followed the blueprint if it didn't work for the author's fans? Meanwhile, saw Kenny reverting to his old ways in his interviews about Faith. He repeated almost word for word the same poetic adulation he had once given Shanti. She inspires me, she makes me better. She's everything I prayed for. It felt like a script he knew by heart. Weenie dusted off for every new phase of his romantic life. It wasn't fresh or real after that Faith quietly left the divorce court. There was no farewell foul. Los Place PD. Way's statement, she was just replaced Thessalons, spoke louder than any postcard for a woman who is known for being straightforward and direct. Fans were left wondering why she didn't receive a fitting funeral, or whether her personal life had suddenly become too close to the content after witnessing her on-screen bring order. To chaotic relationships, the mentors are now divorced, the show has ended, and the book deal is uncertain. How about getting married? That's where the mess starts when Wendy Williams publicly disparaged Faith in Kenny's marriage on air. She threw a curveball, although she didn't say much. What she did say was sufficient to start a conversation. Implied that there were aspects of Kenny's truth that people were unaware of with her trademark smirk. Social media erupted as a result of the single word truth, which caused people to read between the lines and relate it to previous rumors about Kenny's past. Faith remained silent, as she usually does, but this time it felt different. She refrained from defending the marriage or retaliating against Wendy, or posting a romantic photo to quell the gossip. Rather, her public appearances began to appear more solitary. Care interview, body language changed, and her tone became more reserved when discussing her private life. You can't ignore a change when a woman who has built her career on logic, clarity, and the law suddenly stopped stalking Faith, was removing herself from the drama, not merely avoiding it. And the actual truth typically begins to surface when a woman like Faith Jenkins becomes a silent. Faith didn't drag Kenny on social media, write a tell-all, or cause a scene, but her actions began to speak for themselves. The couple's close friends and family started chatting about a quiet separation, both emotionally and physically. According to sources, Shess started withdrawing on a personal and professional level. The couple interviews, joint appearances, and anniversary shoutouts were no longer there. What took their place? Empowerment speeches, individual red carpet appearances, and ambiguous captions that alluded to development and transformation. When asked about marriage in interviews, she began to talk less about partnerships and more about her own value. Subtle shade took the place of gentle praise, and her responses became evasive. Thark that had previously ignited at the mention of Kenny had vanished. Then there were rumors of irreconcilable truths, a term that was bandied about in private circles to imply that there was more going on here than just normal marital growing pains, realizing that perhaps the foundation they had established was never truly there in the first place, was more important than simply fighting or drifting apart. According to insiders, Faith felt constrained and under pressure to maintain the public perception of the ideal black couple if it didn't match her personal reality, and the performance broke as soon as that pressure did, even though she didn't slam the gavel in court. Your actions are still enforcing the law. The whole picture, the way their love was promoted as a brand, the way it appeared to be healing, purpose, and redemption, all rolled into one, was ultimately the larger than a single significant incident or dramatic scandal. However, when you really dig deeper, it's more about perception than love. These two individuals didn't find solace in one another. Rather, they discovered a moment that appeared positive on paper. From well on social media, Kenya arrived with baggage, including an ex-wife, emotional scars, public rumors, and a reputation that required repair. However, Faith had the platform, the voice, and the appearance. Although the pairing was practical, true love isn't about practicality. It seemed as though their whole narrative had been carefully chosen, with each interview and picture post having undergone branding scrutiny before being released. Abstinence, guidance, and motivation. They were marketing a romantic tale that seemed ideal but didn't seem to develop beyond the surface. Although Faith may have believed she was entering a safe environment, the experience ultimately felt more like she was entering a meticulously planned production, and she eventually discovered the script wasn't theirs. Faith had to decide whether to leave the stage or continue performing when the lights went down. Judge. Even though Faith is no longer in divorce court, she is actually taking back control of her life. No ostentatious remarks or clumsy interviews, just silent shifts that convey a lot. She is not maintaining the illusion and is acting on her own terms, despite his track record when it comes to love. Kenny continues to promote the love song narrative and sing about being here to stay. Whether he is at last prepared for the type of relationship he continues to act out in public is still up in the air. It now seems more like a warning of the perils of establishing love based on peer pressure, superficial connection, and public approval than it did as a spiritual love story, because true healing doesn't come from concealing the truth behind flawless captions, and true love doesn't require an audience, because even love songs and hashtags won't be able to stop the lies from coming to light when the truth does. Additional, Judge Faith is holding the receipts this time rather than just the gavel. What do you think then? Was it an image-based relationship, or true love? Was Faith involved in something she ought to have avoided sooner? If you're following the story, please share your thoughts in the comments section. Also remember to subscribe for more of the newest tea. What occurs if a courtroom queen exchanges her rambling for a wedding band and then finds herself embroiled in a trial she never agreed to? Judge Faith Jenkins was renowned for her approach to law and love. She was a former Miss Louisiana, a legal analyst, and the wittiest of divorce court Lattimore Kenny. The smooth-voiced R&B singer, known for songs like For You, was known for her clean cute image and soulful ballads. These two seemed like the ideal match when they announced their relationship in 2019. They were a power couple who embodied Black excellence and shared values. However, every flawless Instagram post has a heavily edited backstory. Kenny Lattimore was well known in R&B and gossip magazines before he was spotted on red carpets with Judge Faith Jen, despite having all the makings of a powerhouse couple. His first marriage to singer Shanti Moore soon began to show signs of weakness. More than just formal documents accompanied their divorce. The rare Moore's emotional detachment, custody disputes over their son, and an odd tension that pervaded the entire space. However, it was Shanti's handling of inquiries about Kenny's private life that truly got fans talking. She never confirmed anything particular regarding his sexual orientation, but she also didn't deny it. Years of whispers that followed Kenny into every new relationship were even triggered by her passive responses. It was more than just rumors, it was a persistent shadow. In addition, Kenny's public persona began to change after the divorce. People took